He calls himself the Culture Blaster. He does come and go on a rainbow. How about it for Michael Snyder, everybody? He's the Culture Blaster.
I am so excited about the upcoming holiday meet and greet. I'm excited about the holidays in general, especially Xmas, when we celebrate the birth of Jesus X, Malcolm X's cousin. I always want to put on my dashiki for that one. Speaking of politics, I heard the news about old Trumpty Dumpty getting awarded Patriot of the Year by those quizzlings at Fox News. But I have an update. Since it was revealed that 70-something ex-New England coach Bill Belichick has a 20-something girlfriend, the old boy has received a Patriot of the Year award from Barely Legal magazine.
Oh, wow. Who knew? There's another Patriot of the Year.
It's thrilling. And he, of course, the crazy thing is he was the coach of the Patriots. So,
that's the tie-in there. That's the joke there, I think.
I guess.
Excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
It's Coachella Valley Coffee.
The best coffee. Not in the green room today for some reason.
No,
you're right. Denied. I was
sorry
denied.
about that.
That's okay. So let's get to movies.
What do you have, Michael
and various and sundry other cultural interests. I generally groove with director Marielle Heller's movies, starting with her first and my favorite of them, 2015's San Francisco 1970 set film, The Diary of a Teenage Girl, which she both wrote and directed. But I also really enjoyed Can You Ever Forgive Me with Melissa McCarthy and the Mr. Rogers biopic, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood with Tom Hanks. I really like Heller's work. Now she has scripted and directed the provocatively titled NIGHTBITCH, which is a difficult to finesse thing. I think it's a horror comedy of ideas, and it stars another big name like Hanks or McCarthy, American sweetheart Amy Adams. Here she plays a harried suburban mother. Get ready. She seems to be turning into one of our furry friends by night. Yep, she may very well be turning into a dog. And of course, this creates complications in her life with her husband, played by Scoot McNairy, and her offspring. And, I got to say, I appreciate the allegorical aspects of motherhood turning some women feral. Even if it's pretty much an in-your-snout message here, if you know what I mean. And Amy Adams, sort of coming off like Amy Schumer here, gives her all in a vanity-free performance. But it just didn't congeal for me. It didn't work all the way through. There are moments that are wonderful. And again, Adams is quite terrific. And Marielle Heller is a smart and talented writer-director. I just kind of wish this thing was better. She has her mother's group and whatever, and they're all kind of freaking out at how disheveled and weird she is when she shows up. And there are some amusing moments. And I know you're an animal lover. And,
we have enough, though. We don't need suburban moms to become animals.
Right. We got to adopt the homeless animals that already are out there. Anyway, let's be honest.
Was she spayed?
And neutered. She wants to be neutered after having kids and having them ruin her life, essentially.
Wow.
Look, NIGHTBITCH isn't a dog, but it is not a Westminster champion either. I think it has merit. I can never say no to Marielle Heller's films, at least not yet. NIGHTBITCH is in theaters, and I think it's going to entertain people. Her standard, Heller's standard is such that I kind of wanted something
more.
But
you were not completely disappointed by this.
No, I want to support her work because I think she's a really, really talented.
But supporting the work is one thing. But is this a good watch? Is the question.
It's entertaining. I just wanted more out of it.
Okay,
and it doesn't all hold together as well as it might.
Okay.
Okay.
One paw up for this one.
Yeah, one paw up. Thank you. No fleas. Based on an inspiring true story, aren't so many of them, Unstoppable is an absolute crowd pleaser that earns the affection from the people, but it leans on some conventional underdog against the odds sports movies, but it's hard to begrudge the filmmakers, since the facts of its central figure, Anthony Robles' life, could make many stand up and cheer even without any melodramatic moments. Anthony Robles was born with one leg, but he becomes a wrestler in high school and an accomplished wrestler. And he's so good that he wins championships, but he has a very dicey home life. a stepfather, played here by Bobby Cannavale, who's always great. A bit on the abusive side, a prison guard who basically treats the family like they're his inmates at a prison. And he does have the benefit of a loving and supportive mother, played by Jennifer Lopez, in a very stirring and nuanced performance. And he also has some coaches that are on his side. His high school coach, played by Michael Pena, and the college coach at Arizona State U, played by Don Cheadle, who ends up inviting him to join the team. And that leads to championship level wrestling for this one-legged guy.
And you're saying that it is based on a true story. This is actually a real guy.
I'm not. Okay. I prefaced the whole thing by saying that Jarrell Jerome as Robles is.
I know you prefaced it. That's why I was just I was just reaffirming it.
Thank you for reiterating.
Yeah.
Jarrell Jerome is
no need
wonderful.
to get testy about it.
Well,
okay,
it's
go ahead.
all those testes.
Yeah.
Anyway, Anthony Robles is played by Jarrell Jerome, and he's terrific. And again, the movie is so much more than you expect from one of these oftentimes cookie cutter movies about overcoming the odds. And there's just something about those movies that we see on a regular basis. And in fact, here's the crazy thing. Another movie's coming out called The Fire Inside shortly, about the young black teenager from Flint, Michigan. Again, another true story, who became an Olympic boxing champion. That's to come as yet. But Unstoppable is solid stuff. No,
I'm sorry. So is it in theaters now?
It is in theaters now. Okay. The other one is not. But this is in theaters now. And January 16th, it'll be streaming. It's called Unstoppable. Good performances by Pena, Cannavale, Cheadle, and, of course, Jennifer Lopez in the significant role of Anthony's mom. I always bristle at these things because I think they're manipulative. But this worked for me.
All right.
Okay. Now here's a movie based on yet another true story.
Can I tell a quick Don Cheadle story?
Is it a long-winded one?
No, it's a quick Don Cheadle story. I used to play cards with Don Cheadle all the time, and he was at my house, and I believe we typically played outside, but on this night it had gotten chilly. We moved the game inside, and he started to, and I'm sitting right next to him, and he's starting to kind of cough and like have issues with breathing. And he turned to me and he said,
"Do you have a cat?"
He said, "Do you have a cat?" I said, "Yeah, we do. We vacuumed the place and cleaned the place up, before the game started, but we do." He said, "Oh," he said, "I'm really allergic to cats." And he had to leave. He was in bad shape.
Oh my God. So
that's a little Don Cheadle trivia. He's got a bad cat allergy.
Ironically, he ended up briefly doing the voice of Donald Duck. It had nothing to do with a cat or anything, but he did the voice of Donald Duck on DuckTales for a couple episodes. Okay, so
anyway,
this is a movie based on another true story, as many are, but this is one that doesn't in any way try to tug at your heartstrings. Tense, disturbing, and seriously relevant today. The Order is a crime docudrama inspired by the actual early 1980s FBI pursuit of terroristic white supremacist cells in the Pacific Northwest. The movie, The Order, is set in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, for the most part, in 1983, and it's about the craziness of one specific FBI agent, Terry Husk, played by Jude Law, in a very vanity-free performance. And he decides that he's going to investigate a bunch of bank robberies. He's been transferred from New York, and he wants to see what's up with these robberies. And he gets the word, or begins to sense, that the money is being accumulated by members of a white supremacist cell, basically domestic terrorists. And they are going to try to put the money into guns and, foment an armed uprising here in the States, fighting the government. So this basically brings him in conflict with Bob Matthews, a young and charismatic racist bastard who was leading one of these cells and breaking away from a preacher who is, again, part of this white supremacist movement, but pious. And in fact, the violent acts and the bank robberies and the criminal behavior is problematic because it brings attention to their corner of the philosophical, political world. It's exciting. I really thought it was wonderfully done. I want to praise director Justin Kurzel. And obviously, Jude Law is great in this. Other members of the cast, specifically Nicholas Hoult, a young actor who also shows up in the soon to be released Nosferatu movie. He plays Bob Matthews, this young and fearless white supremacist a-hole. And Ty Sheridan plays a local cop that teams up with Jude Law's character. Journey Smollett plays a fellow FBI agent. Everybody's pretty damn wonderful. And our old pal Mark Maron shows up as the uh, notorious Alan Berg, a left-wing radio personality
Sure.
who becomes wrapped up in this situation. And I won't say the
I used
why
to
and the
love.
how.
I used to listen to Alan Berg all the time. He was great.
So this is based on real events and real nightmarish circumstances. I thought the order was crackling. I thought it was really well done and really good.
It's only in theaters. I from based on
For
the
right
poster.
now, yeah. And I'm going to suggest to you that it's a good thing to watch in a theater, but it's also going to be strong when it comes out on video or home viewing.
And who is the woman on the poster? Journey Smollett.
Yeah, who is a beautiful actress and a talented one as well. And The Order gets my recommendation. It's quite good. Also quite good, but not necessarily in that same bag, is The Return. The Return features a reunion of Rafe Fiennes, or Ralph Fiennes, for those of you who don't know how to pronounce his name, and Juliette Binoche, who co-starred in a little Oscar magnet called The English Patient. You remember that? He was neither English nor particularly patient, but it was an Oscar-winning movie. This is a very well-acted and well-shot drama. The Return is set in the long ago of the epic poem The Odyssey. That deathless piece of classic literature was about the adventures of Odysseus, the hero and king of the nation of Ithaca, when he went off to fight the Trojan Wars. As for The Return, it concerns the return of the bruised and battered Odysseus, played by Fiennes, to his kingdom after almost 2 decades away. At this point, Ithaca is in shambles, and the wife of Odysseus, Queen Penelope, played by Binoche, has held out hope that her widely presumed dead husband will somehow return. We know the story. Confined to the palace, she has to fend off quite a few unsavory male suitors who want to marry her for the throne. So Penelope sits at her loom in her quarters and weaves while looking out the window at the unforgiving sea in hopes that she'll see her long-lost husband sail into port. That's right, Penelope has a loom with a view.
Oh, my God.
Meanwhile, Telemachus, played by Charlie Plummer, is the son of Odysseus and Penelope, and he's being harassed by those scurrilous suitors, even as his bitterness at his absent father consumes him. And into all this, Odysseus washes onto the shores of Ithaca, almost unrecognizable after years of war and a brutal journey home. Conflict with the suitors, his son, and his wife is assured. This is beautifully directed by Uberto Pasolini, who co-authored the script. Beautifully shot on location in beautiful Mediterranean settings. The Return is spare and lean in execution despite the sweeping backstory, but it is powerful. And that's largely due to the emotional weight of the lead couple's predicament and the impact of their superb acting, meaning, of course, Fiennes and Binoche. I recommend
Wow,
The
he
Return.
likes The Return. It's in movie. It's in. You got to see it in the movie theater.
Yes, it's in select theaters. If you got a big old screen at home, maybe eventually it'll work there as well. Okay, I'm going to do an outlier here. The movie I'm going to discuss briefly is something that's only opening in New York, and it's only opening in New York because it's up for Oscar consideration. It's an awards consideration run in New York City, but it is so good, and I don't want to jump the gun, but I do want to jump the gun. The brilliant British filmmaker Mike Leigh reignites his working relationship with the always amazing actress Marianne Jean-Baptiste, who previously she earned accolades for her very deep, compelling turn in Leigh's award-winning character study, Secrets and Lies. In Hard Truths, which is this new movie, which again opens in New York today, Jean-Baptiste gives an astounding performance as the, I'd call her resolutely unpleasant pansy, an emotionally crippled wife and mother who is so filled with fear and rage that she lashes out at everyone in her life. her patient, hardworking husband, her overweight, painfully shy son, and even her younger sister, played by Michelle Austin, in another good performance. And that's as a sweet natured single mom of likable, well adjusted daughters, and also the well regarded owner of a local hair salon. So, directing from his own script, Lee has delved into the stresses and strains that certain family relationships engender, and the love and forgiveness that the better natured of us try to bring to these relationships. Jean Baptiste may be familiar to some from her stints on the British TV show Broadchurch and the American TV procedural Without a Trace, but she has never been more ferocious on any screen than she is in Hard Truths. It's an easy truth is that she's going to garner quite a few nominations for this full-bodied, admittedly off-putting creation of the brutally and tragically real character of Pansy. You know, I wish it was opening in Los Angeles as well.
I wish it were opening somewhere else besides just New York, Michael Snyder. I mean, I don't know what to do. So when is it going to come to the West Coast, do you think?
January 10th.
That's not, okay.
It's not that far away, but since it is debuting today in theaters.
You wanted to give it, you feel a certain obligation because you are the culture blaster.
Right, and you know what? We have listeners from all over.
We've got listeners in New York.
Yeah, so I did want to do that. Okay, how about a post-apocalyptic sci-fi survival drama that's also a black comedy and a musical? Oh my God. Furthermore, this thing called The End stars Tilda Swinton, Michael Shannon, George McKay from 1917, Lenny James from The Walking Dead, and Tim McInerney from Notting Hill. The End is a daring ploy from director and co-screenwriter Joshua Oppenheimer, whose previous movies were kind of activist-minded socio-political documentaries. It just doesn't quite come together in a satisfying or moving way. Here's the deal. A husband, wife, and their son have been confined to a bunker, which is well appointed, years and years after an environmental crisis has basically destroyed the world. And they have a couple of friends, and they are also taken in by the husband and wife and the son. And the son, played by McKay, and by the way, the husband and wife are Shannon and Swinton. And the son is played by McKay, and he's never seen anything beyond this bunker. And a young woman shows up desperate, trying to get some kind of shelter here, and they bring her in. But it's not a Snake and Eden situation, but this causes all kinds of tumult. And I kind of wish it had been better. I wish.
How's the music?
The songs are okay. I have to say the songs are not particularly memorable. This whole thing, kind of like Night Bitch, doesn't come quite together in a completely satisfying way, but it's bold and it's kind of gutsy to do a movie like this. So, kudos to Oppenheimer for trying this thing out. It just didn't particularly work for me. I was caught up in it. Again, the art direction is pretty spectacular. And the performances are what you would expect from such a high caliber of actor as those populating this
And it
cast.
is a comedy
It's
musical.
comic to an extent. It's more a dramatic musical, and there's a lot of bickering. And I kind of wish it had
More
been better.
bickering than we have on this program?
About the same amount, I would say.
Okay.
Let's wrap up quickly
Okay.
with one more film. I got to bring up Getaway because I love Nick Frost. Nick Frost is the comedic actor who has been Simon Pegg's sidekick in director Edgar Wright's fantastic trio of comedies, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. He was a mainstay of the cool movie Fighting with My Family, and he recently, as in a week or two ago, starred in a kind of mediocre horror film called Black Cab as a cab driver who has a sinister intent. Here, he is the patriarch of the Smith family. They're going on a vacation to the Swedish island of Svalta, but this place has a regular ritualistic festival that basically reflects horrible things that happened in the past on the island, including British soldiers showing up, cannibalism, slaughter, plague. So they're showing up for this so-called festival, and it doesn't appear like they're wanted. And yet they boldly take the ferry and show up on Svalta, and crazy stuff starts happening. If you remember the movie Midsummer about Scandinavian ritual with kind of an ugly side to it, you'll maybe relate to what goes on in this film. Eiling B., who's a pretty good comedic actress on her own, is the mom, in this family. And Frost, of course, is reliable, and he co-wrote or wrote the script. Maybe I kind of wish this had been better as well, but I thought it was a better film on many levels than Black Cab, and it does have an interesting twist that happens about 2/3 of the way through the movie, and it's well shot. And again, it's hard to go wrong when Nick Frost and Eiling B are playing dad and mom. They're kind of cool.
And I'm sorry, so this is kind of funny.
It is. It's a horror comedy like Night Bitch. We've bookended today's reviews with two horror comedies, neither of which totally works. Stefan Hars, who is a Scandinavian director, was in charge here, but again, Frost was the screenwriter, and he's so much fun to watch.
It's in English or none?
It's in English.
Okay.
There's whatever like weird Scandinavian language or dialect is used is mostly subtitled. So, but it's an English language film.
Please enjoy these offerings that the Culture Blaster has brought to us today. Getaway is the horror comedy from Nick Frost and Eiling B. It sounds interesting, oddly. Kind of.
It has its moments. It does get very grisly. I know you don't like the blood and the gore.
No, it's not the blood. It's.
Oh, you don't like.
I don't know what I don't like.
It's the tension you don't like.
The tension I don't like. I don't like a lot of gunplay. I don't like. I don't know. Whatever. I'm going to have to recalibrate for the new year. Anyway, The End. It's called. I'm sorry, Getaway. It's called, with Nick Frost playing the father. That is in theaters. The End is the film with Tilda Swinton, Michael Shannon, the husband and wife and son. They go to a bunker. They're confined to a bunker after some kind of disaster, apocalyptic disaster on the outside, and a girl is introduced into the action and the drama.
And the boy is in his 20s. He's never had a relationship with anyone. There's going to be some kind of
some kind of spark. Something's going to happen. It's called The End. He said it's okay. It is a musical drama / with comedic moments. He says it's okay, but he doesn't love it. Hard Truths opens only in New York, but it'll be on the West Coast January 10th. It's a Mike Leigh film. Marianne Jean-Baptiste and Michelle Austin from, Mike Leigh did direct. He was directed Secrets and Lies.
Many films.
Yeah, great pedigree. Again, Hard Truths. He really likes this movie, and he recommends it. And so when it gets to your world, if it's not New York, it'll be, as I say, in wider release in January. Check it out. The End. I'm sorry, it's called Hard Truths.
It's difficult viewing, but it's really worthwhile.
The Return is the Ray Fine and Juliette Binoche number. It's the return of Odysseus, who was there at war, as I recall, right? Many years at war. And Penelope, the wife, waits for him.
Yes, at her loom. At her loom with a view.
Yeah. The kind of loyalty that Kim has for me is reflected in The Return, with Penelope waiting for, in this case, a Jude Law.
No, this is Ray Fiennes.
Oh, Ray Fiennes. Where's Jude Law? Is
Jude Law is an FBI agent in the
Order. Do you
Order.
think he would have waited? She would have waited even longer if it had been Jude Law?
I think Jude Law would have been one of the suitors, and we would have had a sword fight between Ray Fiennes and Jude Law.
Okay, so Ray Fiennes really has her heart.
Yes.
Jude Law is in a different film.
Yes.
In any case,
that's The Return.
Is the Odysseus story, The Return. He really likes it. You liked it, didn't you?
I'm a real homer for this sort of stuff, if you know what I mean.
I'm interested in seeing this as well. Yes, thank you, Albert. The Order is a tense, disturbing drama. FBI agents pursuing white nationals in Idaho. The craziness of one FBI agent played by Ray Fiennes.
Yes, in the role of Jude Law.
Played by Jude Law. And
nothing crazy about it. A little obsessed to bring these guys down.
Yeah. Mark Maron's in it. And Michael really liked this movie also. The Order, it's called. It is in theaters. Unstoppable is the true story that inspired this film. Jarrell Jerome, Bobby Cannavale, Jennifer Lopez, Don Cheadle. It's the one-legged runner.
Wrestler. He's a wrestler.
Sorry, but he did run to the wrestling match, didn't he?
Well, he hopped
because he was late for the wrestling match, and that's how he finally did make it.
I'm really not sure. Thank you for playing.
What?
All right. So Unstoppable, he liked, didn't love, is what I got.
No,
from you.
I liked it very much. I just thought, it's a crowd pleaser, and being kind of a snob.
You thought you felt a little manipulated there.
No, this was surprisingly unmanipulative considering these sorts of movies.
Okay.
I give it a positive review. I thought it was good. I thought it was heartfelt.
Unstoppable is in theaters. It'll be streaming in January on Amazon, apparently. Night Bitch is where he started, and that is the film with Amy Adams, the director of Diary of a Teenage Girl and Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Really talented director, Marielle Heller. And it's the suburban mother who is turning into a dog.
Yeah, she thinks she is. She may be turning into a dog. Maybe, maybe not. Who are we to say that the laws of nature are going to be flouted like that?
It is true. Flouted is such a ding word. I felt that you were not over the moon for this. You thought it was kind of intriguing, but you didn't love it.
It's the least of her films in my book, but she's such a good director, and Amy Adams is such a wonderful presence that I was carried along. I just kind of like Getaway. It's a horror comedy where the mix is not quite what it could be, despite the incredible talents involved.
I'll share with you a couple of quick comments from our audience for you. I thought the return was going to be about buying things on Amazon, says John Watson. Very, very good.
Bravo, John.
And Michael, can you suggest a good holiday music to stream? Not Bad Santa.
A movie.
He must mean movie, yeah. But something heartwarming and funny, like Family Man genre, says Karen.
I wasn't over the moon about it, but there is merit to the recent Nutcrackers film, which is on Hulu with Ben Stiller. It's just, kind of formula. And both the kids that he's kind of stuck with in the movie and Stiller's character are not, they're a little obnoxious. But I thought that it had some merit. I'm trying to think about, honestly, A Christmas Story is almost foolproof. It's always streaming like crazy on TNT or TBS, and it's based on the novel by my hero, Gene Shepard, the great radio monologist and author, whose book In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash was one of my favorite books growing up, and he is the guy behind the movie A Christmas Story. Anyway, there are lots of them. I'll think about it, and when we get closer to Christmas,
exactly, we're going to be meeting again. You're here next Friday. I just watched Matlock for the first time. Kathy Bates as Matlock, says John. Priceless.
Really?
Rev says, I have no idea why they're calling it Matlock. Just call it some other new country courtroom procedural.
Wow.
I like that exchange. So
Kathy Bates is just a simple country lawyer.
Yeah,
is that what's going on there?
Yeah, exactly. Karen says, Mark, one-legged runner. Come on, dude, you need to go on vacations. And I do. I am so tired. You have no idea how exhausted I am.
I'm so glad to be privy to your burnout at the end of the last show of the week.
I've kept this show on the air an extra half hour to get your full time in, and I'd like a little appreciation for that.
Love
Michael.
you, buddy. I mean,
do. I've never seen anything like it.
Exactly.
I've never experienced such love and affection.
Yes, exactly. So
put that coffee down.
All right, I do. Michael, I do adore you. I look forward to next week. I'll be watching, not here.
Right. I'll be with Kim and the great Michael Shore. It's going to be a lot of fun. And in the meantime, you can check out my article on Wicked that goes into much greater depth than I could go into on the air with you, Mark. And Wicked is reviewed and analyzed at thevoicesf.org, my most recent column. And of course, you can catch me on X, if you dare, at Culture Blaster, and more significantly, at Blue Sky, at cultureblaster.bluesky.social.
That's it. Blue Sky, baby. Get on over there. Yeah. He comes and goes on a rainbow. The great Culture Blaster, Michael Snyder, everyone. Wow. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.